Welcome. My name is Greg Nicholas, and it's truly a privilege to have you with us here at Christian Heritage today. I'd like very much to be able to be here in person, but my wife has recently been diagnosed with cancer, and so we're out of the city so that she can receive treatment. But it's important for me to be able to share with you a little bit about the founding of Christian Heritage. Lisa and I had the privilege over 30 years ago of being called to start Christian Heritage. We were residing in central Nebraska, where I was a marketing representative with IBM, and frankly thought that I'd spend my entire career with them. But there was an inner emptiness within my life that being a success in business didn't seem to satisfy. Lisa and I had to attend a walk through the Bible presentation, and the gentleman that was sharing on that particular morning talked about Jeremiah 29:11. It was the first time that I'd ever heard that verse that says, "For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans for welfare and not for calamity, to give you a future and a hope." He went on to say that if we really want to know God's plan for our lives, then we need to know God, and that His love for us is so great that He sent His Son, and that if we believe in Him, we have an opportunity to not only know Him and to have the assurance of eternal life, but to know what God's plans are for our lives. And so I made that commitment on that day, and began to just pray that God would lead us and direct us. I want to share with you candidly that although this had never happened before and has not happened since, that I happened to have a vision, and I saw children's homes and children playing outside of those homes. And it was apparent to me that those kids lived in those homes, but that wasn't their real home. And it also was apparent to me that they needed my help. And shortly after seeing that, I saw myself in my three-piece IBM suit with briefcase in hand at 13th and N, and sensed the Lord saying to me, "Which life do you choose?" In essence, caring for the children or continuing a career with IBM. And I chose caring for kids. Well, when we talk about Christian Heritage and the work that we do here, it's represented by these banners behind us. We're committed to strengthening families, to giving children, filling them with hope and preparing them for life. And to that end, we have three specific programs that I'd like to share with you about today. But let me talk first about the issue of strengthening families and concept, and how we're strengthening families through our family outreach program, specifically our Destination Dad program. We believe that every child, and research shows that every child does better when their dads are involved in their lives. But every child who has an incarcerated parent is growing up without their dad or mom. And so we actually go inside of correctional facilities to teach relationship skills at the men's and women's correctional facilities. We take video equipment and books so that they can read books to their children, and then we get the books and a DVD to them so that the kids can stay connected with their parents. And we also do Daddy Day visits, where children have an opportunity to go and spend time with their dads. One mother wrote to us and said, 2 hours a month may not seem like much to you, but it's changed my son's life. You know, this Destination Dad program has been so popular that we actually have waiting lists of nearly 200 men at different facilities. And so one of our greatest needs is to be able to hire additional staff members so that we can provide services to even more incarcerated folks who are waiting. All we do at Christian Heritage is about children. So even though we're working with those dads and moms, our goal is to keep their kids at home, in school, and out of trouble. Well, the program that deals with filling children with hope is our Family Finding program. And what we do in Family Finding is just what the name implies. We find family members for children who have been languishing or been in foster care for a period of time. Imagine, if you will, that you're 17 or 18 years old, that you've been in foster care for some time, you've lost connections with your family, but you've heard that there is a family reunion. So you make your way to the park where you believe it to be held. You find that large oak tree, you sit out on the ground to wait for your family. And you wait. And wait. An hour passes, and no one comes. And then 2 hours, and still no one. And in that moment, you realize just how alone you are. Our Family Finding program has been created to help reconnect lost family members with children. I'd like to share with you a letter that we recently received of a great-grandfather writing to introduce himself to his great-grandson. I share this with his permission. I'll start by introducing my wife and I as Jesse and Nita. Our grandson is Gary, your father. That would make you our great-grandson. We went to see you soon after you were born. Nita held you, and we both agreed that you looked so much like your father. You were a good-looking baby. Nita and I have been married for 59 years. We were wed in 1954. I was 19, and she was 17. We have 3 children, Gary, Judy, and Greg. I was a carpenter for 17 years before opening my own business in 1967. I retired in 1996. As a young squirt, I mowed lawns, carried a paper route, and went to school. We both graduated from high school. I had 1 brother and 2 sisters. Nita was an only child, with great parents. We grew up before television. I could ramble on for many hours about us, but we are concerned about you and mention you in our prayers. A letter of a grandfather who really wants to know his great-grandson and to be known by him. I want to share with you also that just earlier this week, one of our family finding specialists went to a group home where a boy was to talk to him about finding family members for him. Honestly, he's 13 years old and has pretty much given up hope of ever knowing his family. As Ronnie began to talk to him about the whole process of locating family members and the fact that we're finding over 50 family members per child, he began to get excited. And as they continued to talk, he actually became really engaged and enthusiastic. Before Ronnie left, he looked at her and said, "What am I going to do if this doesn't work?" Family finding does work. It's working for 60 children a year, and we believe that it needs to be working for a great many more children than that. Our third program is foster care that has to do with preparing children for life. I think I've mentioned that we're caring for 200 children every day that are in foster homes because of abuse or neglect in their families. But we, every week, turn away more children than we're able to accept. As a matter of fact, by the end of this year, we will have turned away probably between 800 and 1,000 children. 800 and 1,000 children. We need to hire a new recruiter so that we can recruit additional families, so that we can say yes to every child who's referred to us. We know that one recruiter can recruit at least 20 families a year, and within 5 years that would be 100 more children that we would be able to say yes to. That's an important thing. I just want to close by again thanking you for coming and share that I recently had an opportunity to run into a store to pick up something for Lisa. As I handed my credit card to the gentleman behind the counter, he smiled, and then he said, "I know who you are." I looked at him with bewilderment, and he said, "I grew up a Christian Heritage. Don and Sandy were my parents. See, I never knew my dad, and my mom was unable to take care of me. So Don and Sandy are really the only parents that I've ever known." He thanked me for being there for him when he needed a home and a family, and then shared with me that he's married and he and his wife have a 4-year-old daughter. That's pretty exciting to us. Well, again, we're delighted that you would be here today to learn more about Christian Heritage. I'm sorry that I couldn't be with you, but here's someone who's in the flesh, Aaron Reardon.